Welcome to the Homeopathy Hangout podcast, where we discuss all things homeopathy from around the world. And now, your host, Eugenie Kruger.
Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to Homeopathy Hangout. Today we are hanging out with the business owners of Little Miss Organic, Emma, Martin and Nicole Williams. Welcome, ladies.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Well, we've known each other for a little while, and it's just so exciting to get to hang out with you today. Can you tell us a little bit, ladies, how you got into homeopathy?
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
I just wanted to say first up, we're so excited and honoured that you would bring us onto your podcast. So I first got into homeopathy when I had my first naturopath, I think, and it was only a few remedies. So we're talking arnica and a few that I probably didn't even know. So I trusted her so much. She would sometimes prescribe homeopathy as well as, herbs and other things. And then when I started studying naturopathy, I learnt more about it then. And I started to use it a little bit. But to be honest, until we met you, I wasn't using it a lot. No, only just knew of the really popular remedies until we got to know you. And now my catalogue has expanded and expanded and expanded.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah. The addiction's growing.
Yeah.
I seem to remember that I started. I don't know what drew me to homeopathy, but I started on the Owens homeopathics, and again something just instinctually drew me to it. But I was not. I think it's the application and understanding more about homeopathy that I wasn't quite sure of. And then it was when we met you. That we just started to, I guess, naturally just learn how to use how to use the remedies and what's good for each, issue that we had. So I think, definitely since we met you, it's definitely growing bigger and bigger. But I think chamomilla and teething was probably the number one. Yeah, I think that's just
both of us.
We
definitely
both started with that.
Yeah. So we had teething babies at the same time, and we worked.
Yeah.
So we liked to try everything kind of natural, didn't we? And this was working.
And then we realised there was basically a remedy for absolutely everything. From
that
after.
And I think that I will be speaking for both of us when I say that you helped us to get the confidence. So we already understood how homeopathy works, but we didn't have enough confidence in the beginning.
Just the application and the dosage.
And thank you, because you really have helped us to not just rely on asking you all the time, but now we feel we can ask each other, which is handy. But also I feel confident now to have a look at symptoms and go, no, I feel confident in this.
Oh, definitely.
And to know that you're not doing any harm, even if you do get it wrong. That's a real comfort when you're dealing with children and babies.
And the dosage, I used to that's what used to concern me, but now I just feel so much more confident. And it's just been a game changer.
Yeah,
homeopathy,
totally.
Game changer. Like to be able to, support my children is just absolutely next level. I feel so confident. It doesn't matter what gets thrown my way. I know that there's a remedy for it.
Yep.
It's been amazing.
I love it, ladies. Little kits in every bag that we go out. So I still call it the nappy bag. My kids are 4.5 and 7, but somehow we still call it the nappy bag. But the main bag that comes with us everywhere we go has 2 or 3 kits, because it's not enough for me just to have 10 now. I need to have at least 20 or 30.
Now you know the remedy so well. You know that if you get, the more specific you get with the remedy, the better the results you get. Yep. But Em is she's a dispenser. I do forget to bring mine more. Well, now that I've got the case, I'm like that. I have my little case homeopathic kit.
We know what you mean.
With my case. Yeah. But I definitely do still go to Em wherever we are. I'm like, know that she'll have it covered. I'm like, oh, I need this. And do you have this? Do you have that? She gets it out of her bag. And so, yeah.
And with our little online community we have, often mums will post in there asking for remedies, and Em quite often pops up in there and says, I've got something for you, which is just so amazing. It also helps that you guys obviously have your business, Little Miss Organic, and so when mums do pop in, they can get their colloidal silver, their organic food, they can get their everything else alongside as well. So you're like a one-stop shop.
Oh, thanks,
very
Jenny.
That's the goal.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
why we started Little Miss Organic, for that community, and it's grown to include so many things, because anything that we're using on ourselves and with our children and our families, we want to share with others, and we are really proud of what we've been able to trial and error and be able to offer our families to keep us all really happy and healthy. And we use homeopathy amazingly, like alongside natural healthy living and ionic silver.
We've got Little Miss Organic and homeopathy, basically, and then we're complete. You know, it's like
it's completed us.
Yeah. So with Little Miss Organic, basically, we pretty much only stock what we know we love and we use. So we don't have ranges of products. Basically, if you want to know how we keep our family and ourselves healthy and what we eat and the products we use, it's basically on our website. Like, that's it. So if anything's on our website, it's because it works and we love it. Combined with, ionic silver and some of our other vitamin C and things like that. Basically, those are the things that we use, and homeopathy. So,
and you ladies know that you were one of the first people that I contacted to get on the podcast. It's taken us a month to actually sit on a date where the three of us could fit in. But that because I so align with what you do, I feel the same. I would only actually sell something to somebody that I would use on my own family and that I know that works. And that's why I love having you guys on today, because I feel our values align so much. We are all about empowering families with natural medicine as a first line defense. And so, yeah, it's very exciting having you on. And when you spoke about teething babies, I had to giggle because, the three of us each have a daughter, not, mine's almost 7. You already have a 7-year-old and yours isn't far off. Hey, Nicole.
So they're all within a few weeks of it. Weeks.
Yeah. So, luckily that teething days are behind us, but certainly, things like chamomilla, which is such a great teething remedy, I would almost call it a gateway drug to homeopathy. Hey, because when your baby is screaming and you don't want to stuff them with Panadol, then, having a natural alternative is just the best.
I just wanted to lead in with a story about chamomilla, actually. And it's not my child, because whilst chamomilla really did help my children, there's a specific example when I was, my husband and I went to a wedding in New Zealand. We took my 1-year-old daughter. And so I had the chamomilla with me, of course, but it wasn't actually her that needed it. We turned up at the reception. No, the actual ceremony, and there was this baby screaming, and we turned up and were like, what's going on? Everyone was like, what's happening? Like blood curdling scream from this baby. And someone was like, this baby's cut a tooth and it's actually bleeding. So it's in its mum's arms, and we go over there, and I just said, I've got this chamomilla and this is what I use for my child. And I think at that stage they were just like
desperate, probably.
Yeah. And so we put 2 pilules in the baby's mouth and just stopped. Literally stopped screaming. And I think they were just a bit shocked, and we kind of got hustled into the church. But basically the baby came into the church for the ceremony, and was kind of happy and no more screaming. And I don't think I even gave many following doses, because I think they were just a bit shocked and a bit like, what's going on here? Who's this lady?
Yeah. What did she just give our daughter?
Yeah. But anyway, that's just one of my really incredible. I'll just never forget that moment. That was incredible. I think everyone was like,
so much for placebo.
Well, yeah, but isn't it interesting how sometimes, this is why we needn't be worried about, administering the wrong dose, or, often it's just one dose and you'll see literally a change straight away. And we get angry with ourselves and each other for not following up. Like, did you give the 6 doses? But oftentimes you get busy and distracted because it actually worked, and the symptoms aren't so in your face anymore that you need to keep administering it. So it's magic. It's totally magic.
I also love that with children. So, my husband's an engineer, and he, like a lot of people, they are skeptical, especially when they look into the science, and they're like, oh, but it's incredible that when they actually see these results, like how different it is, and especially because with children, it's so, a lot of people be like, yeah, placebo, but with a child or a baby, that they don't know you've given them something. They don't know they're supposed to feel better. They don't know that there's supposed to be a change. So I find that really amazing that with adults you can be like, oh yeah, well, I feel a bit better. But with a child, when you see such a huge difference, or a baby, that's, and I think, my husband, that was probably one of the first things that my husband saw as well, that he went, oh,
that
okay,
works.
it was that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So pretty cool.
It's really cool. Really cool.
Ladies, I'm going to leave the floor to you to tell me some stories about how homeopathy has helped you, because I know some of the feedback that I've already received from our previous episodes is that our listeners love hearing stories of how homeopathy has helped people. So if you've got any other stories to share, please go for it.
Well, since we're talking about when the kids were little, one of my favourite stories, and I often tell people this when they're just first getting into homeopathy, is that my little son Blaze he was very accident prone when he was little. So we were talking a lot of head bumps and falling over. And there was a period there where, honestly, every day this poor kid would be hurting himself. And I remember at one point my mum was even talking about getting him a helmet or something to wear at home. I'm not kidding.
I remember you telling me that.
Helmet, what? I felt like the worst mum ever. Anyway.
It's a natural
remedy. Here I am. Physical barrier, right? However, I was a bit mortified by that, and but struggling with 2 children and what have you, and it was just, we've got wood floors at home, and he would just be hitting his head. The amazing thing is that Annika's so good that you would never know that I was the worst mum ever, because every time he had an accident, I would give Annika, and you would literally see, like, sometimes you were thinking it's going to be a tennis ball on this poor kid's head, and you'd literally see it just go bang, nothing. Sometimes he didn't even have a bruise. Like, Drew would get home from work and I'd be telling about this big accident, and he's looking at Blaze going, but what? Like, why are you crying? There's nothing happened. I'm like, no, he did. He's going to get a black eye. Something's going to happen. And he wouldn't. And this little boy, Blaze, whenever he hurt himself, instead of calling out for mum, like all the other little kids around, mum, he'd say, Annika. So whenever he had an accident, and people that didn't know about homeopathy would be looking at me going, who's he asking for? Grandma? Or
it's a nice name.
And he would literally, as soon as he had an accident, instead of asking for me, he would never cry for mum. He would cry for Annika. Bless him. It was, honestly, he would literally start crying and call out for Annika through his tears. Annika.
So cute.
So cute. So Annika is like, I have to have the big, I have to special order in the big jars of Annika, because we've got bottles everywhere.
Pouring it all over you, showering it.
Yes. Yeah. Thankfully, we avoided a helmet, and we also avoided any injuries, and we don't have to use it as much because the kids are a bit older, but I still have it in my bag because other people's kids are hurting, and even yourselves, right? I mean, poor Nicole shut her finger in the car door. Remember that? That was just absolutely horrific, that injury, and she treated it with homeopathy immediately, and it could have been so much worse if it had been left. And so it's nice to have it, even to be able to offer to other families. And when you hurt yourself, like sometimes I'll hurt myself, and I even forget. Nicole sometimes has to remind me to give remedies to myself. Like, I'm so onto it with the kids, right? Yeah. They do something and I'm thinking, what remedy for that? But myself, I tend to forget to treat myself. So that's been a journey in learning to, like, reflect.
Us mums are so bad like that. What did you do with your finger, Nicole?
I slammed it in the car door, but it was a new car, and it's a SUV, but a super heavy car door. Slammed it in there. I mean, like, the nail came off. There's blood everywhere. The kids were in shock. I was in shock. So Arnica and hypericum.
And aconite for the shock for everyone, right? Because everyone it was really a bad injury. Yeah, it was pretty hectic.
Yeah. So I've got another story where I fell as well. At Bells Rapids, and I was holding my son, and I just freaked out because I was on the slippery rocks and the water was going and no one was watching us, and I fell, and I managed to see he kind of catch him, but my foot got caught in between these 2 rocks. So anyway, I managed to flag someone's attention. They came and helped, but then I totally went into shock. Like, I went kind of dizzy and woozy and just completely not with it. And so I was like, Annika. So they gave me Annika, and then I was like, aconite. And honestly, from going, I don't even know if I could have really managed to almost get it myself. So someone got it for me and alternated. I just had to sit on the rock with aconite and Annika for, until I'd done maybe 4 doses, and then felt way better. But yeah, that's probably my biggest experience with shock, and I'm so glad that I had the aconite there. And I also even feel, so I'm studying kinesiology and neurotraining at the moment, and we do accident recall. So we look at the body And when we have an accident, if we don't kind of reset the neurology, then we can continue, our neurology can continue to play out that accident. But we actually, weirdly enough, did accident recall. We learnt that like the week after. So we did that and we checked my body, and I feel like that I didn't have the accident recall on my body. I had one for the head, which could have been a previous injury. But we were talking to my trainer about it, and I told her about aconite, and we're like, perhaps the energetics and something about the homeopathy that I managed to treat it at that moment or not cause a suppression from it. And so I feel like I kind of cleared it.
Yeah, like worked through it.
Wow.
Yeah. Fascinating.
Yeah, so that's cool. I do have one more story.
That's really cool.
Yeah, do you want to keep going? Tell the next story.
Yeah, keep going.
So only because this is, I'm just on a roll, so I might as well tell the story and then I'll go back to you.
Oh, good. I'm loving this.
But my other pretty crazy story was that my son's highly allergic to bees. And so my husband had just left, as you do, he'd just left to fly out to Singapore for 2 weeks or something. So I had my son, he'd driven out, gone to the airport, and he turns around and gets stung by a bee straight away. I'm like, oh no. So I'm thinking, is he allergic? I used to be allergic. And yeah, sure enough, he starts to swell up. Things, he was 1. So that was, a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago. But I'm thinking, oh no, he's showing signs of an allergy. So I was like, Apis, where's Apis? So I knew that. But I had run out of Apis. So I'm like, oh no, ringing around. What can I do? My sister, she had some, she wasn't home. Chuck him in the car, drive out of her house. I'm looking through her house for her Apis, grab the Apis. I'm thinking, looking at him going, he's not good. I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to drive to my parents' house because I just need somebody else's support right now. And like, if I need to go to the hospital, I'm thinking, what do I do? Get to my mum's house. I'm giving him Apis. But at that time I was still learning about dosage, and I'd given him maybe 1, but I was sort of studiously waiting to give him the next dose, which I now know in a situation I would bring the duration between doses down.
Yeah.
But I remember looking at him, and it was that moment where I'm like, I'm about to throw him in the car and take him to the hospital because this rash was moving up the back of his, up his back and up his neck. And I thought, that gets near his throat, and if there's swelling anywhere near his breathing, I'm thinking, oh my goodness. But I remembered a story, I think we had discussed that there was somebody, one of the girls, Megan from
the farm. Yeah.
And I remember what you said.
I remember that too.
Yeah. And sharing the stories gives confidence too, right? Because even in that stressful moment, you were able to recall, hang on, someone's treated this with homeopathy. Yeah. And I think they did take him to the hospital.
They were on their way, weren't they?
And they...
Yeah,
and I think
they did take him to the hospital, And
so
he
I
never...
was thinking, that gave me the confidence. Otherwise, I was thinking like, obviously I was being diligent, and, he wasn't struggling to breathe, but I could see it coming up. And I thought about her, and I thought, right, that's it. So I just started dosing quicker, and I was like just really keeping an eye on him. And probably, by the second or third dose, I just saw it just calm. It all just went back down his body, to the rash, because it was like hives moving up his back, and just calmed down, and everything just subsided to nothing.
Incredible.
Oh my gosh, that is absolutely amazing. I just want to pipe in there with that story because, our mutual friend, her son had exactly that happen. And, synchronicity, once again, I had actually presented a talk on using homeopathy at their premises probably a week before that incident happened. And at the talk, I said, in case of anaphylaxis, if, obviously, if it's known anaphylaxis, you're always going to have the EpiPen there. You're always going to have the ambulance on speed dial. And in fact, St. John's has got a great app that you can download onto your phone. I'll give them a little plug while we're at it. If you use that app, it actually gets an ambulance to you quicker because they cannot send an ambulance out until they have your exact geolocation. So if you use this app, it actually sends the location directly to the ambulance, and you can get it to your house quicker. So I just want to make it super clear. We are not saying here, if your child has an anaphylactic reaction, don't go to hospital. Absolutely do, because that's the safest place. But sometimes you might be rural, and that might not be an option, especially here in WA where we have wide open spaces. So we need to have things on hand that we can use in case we can't get to the hospital in time. So this particular family, she actually gave Apis, the homeopathic remedy for anaphylaxis, every minute. while they went to the hospital. And once they got to the hospital, he was fine. So he didn't need an EpiPen or anything else. The hospital did give him an EpiPen to take home. And she was on the phone with me while all this was happening. And I said to her, you know, because his body has now naturally dealt with this anaphylaxis itself, I promise you that next time the reaction's not going to be as bad. And you know, they live on a farm. They have loads of flowering plants. I think it wasn't even a month later he got stung again. And you know what? The reaction was minimal. It wasn't even an issue. So, yeah. But just want to make it super clear. You know, get the ambulance, go for it. But also in WA, if you don't have private health insurance, it is $800 for an ambulance. And also if you're rural, it might not be an option. So homeopathy is a safe option to use on the way to seeking medical help.
Yeah, and of course, same with him. Like if I didn't make a choice not to go because I had that. I just thought, do I need to go or not? And as I was dosing it, I was like, just all subside. And he has been. I mean, he literally gets stung once every 6 months. Like, now I know if I just get onto it really, really quick, it's nothing. Yeah.
And I don't know if you've read in the media lately, but I have seen a lot of articles pop up here in WA. I'm not sure about the rest of Australia about the huge amount of stress that the ambulance service is under at the moment. So, you know, you actually saved them a trip where they could have helped somebody else, you know, who might have had a heart attack or whatever else. So you were able to actually treat that at home without needing an ambulance and putting that extra pressure on the medical system. So, you know, with obviously being completely safe in the process. But, you know, I'm so glad you shared that story because anaphylaxis is super scary.
Yeah. And now you've always got APIS on you and you know what to do. And
he's just not, I just don't feel he's a risk at all now. If he got stung, I just feel really confident. It's barely, dose him straight away and then it's pretty much gone.
And because Nicole is confident and she can be more intuitive about it now because of that confidence, that keeps the stress down too. So because he's calmer, because mum's calmer, it's massive, right?
They can feel that you've got that control because, you know what you're doing. And it obviously makes them feel,
I think that really helps
rather than the panic. It's just like, okay, cool, calm, collected, let's do it. What do we need? Which remedy? Here we go. And
I saw, maybe that segues into a story that I can share then, if that's okay, because I sometimes include the children in the process too now, and that I found helps me keep calm and also makes them know that I'm doing something. You know, I think sometimes as human beings, we just want to know that someone's heard us and seen us and they're doing something to help. And we're really proud to be able to say that, you know, with homeopathy and ionic silver and living a happy, healthy, organic lifestyle, we've been able to avoid our children ever having to have antibiotics and like having to have any pharmaceuticals, actually. No prescriptions, anything. And so I was struck with an episode with a pretty severe earache with Indigo. And, you know, she was screaming and
that's the first time she's ever had
it was, I hadn't had to deal with anything like that. And luckily I felt so confident. I was giving her ionic silver just to make sure that we could, make sure we didn't have to have antibiotics or anything. And I got my little Owens prescription book out. Is that what it's called? That little handbook, that Owens book.
Yes.
That's really handy, especially if you are feeling stress. Because it helps you just go, no, okay, all I've got to do is think about what she's complaining about, what are the symptoms, and actually have a look. Because often I found with those acute situations, if the symptoms change quite quickly, I think maybe that's also because of the homeopathy that I'm giving, and then that symptom goes away and something else will come up. So rather than just blindly giving what I think is an earache remedy like pulsatilla or whatever, I will actually look now and actually be like, no, hang on, she's saying it's this and this and this, so I'll try this remedy. If there's no change, we'll swap. And during that process, I'm explaining to Indigo what I'm doing as well. So she's feeling calmer because mum's got this, and I can give her something immediately. So even if I've got it wrong, I can go, okay, this is the one that I intuitively think I'm going to give that while I have a read and find out what remedy's really going to be the one. And I'm so happy to be able to report that that worked.
Amazing.
And so I've since had the same experience with Blaze, and I felt really confident to treat it. And it's also nice to be able to tell the kids, like, we've treated this before. We know that you're going to be okay. And, you know, and to just go through the different remedies that are necessary.
We've also said that sometimes, and I think I've talked to you about it, Eugenie, and I've had the conversation with you, but that even mentioning, I think sometimes with children they're so highly intuitive, and whether it's an energetic thing, I don't know, but sometimes even kind of mentioning the remedy,
especially indigo,
talking about it,
say the name.
Remedy,
yep, indigo,
and it has this immediate kind of change. You see this change,
absolutely. So, I could talk about 2 or 3 episodes with indigo where she's said something of what she's feeling, a tummy ache, something, she's explained to me what she's feeling, and I'll say the remedy that would be good for that, and I haven't even needed to get up off the table to get the remedy, because just saying it and her repeating it, she'll repeat it. She always wants to know what they're called, she wants to say it correctly, and often I don't even have to get the remedy. Like, amazing. Honestly, it's nuts. Yeah,
crazy there stuff. Are some very I do feel like there's a new energy going. I mean, I'm not the expert
with these
in that
children
area at all, but with these children, for sure, some of them are just so intuitive, and I see my 2 kiddies as well. They're so in tune with their bodies. It just blows my mind. It's something that I wish that I had for myself as a child. Like, I wish that I was more in tune with my body, and I think that would have, anyway, that's a story for another day, but
great one,
you see these kiddies and they're so being raised with natural medicine and being so in tune with their bodies and what works for them. It's really brilliant. Have you got any other stories?
Relate, I think. Sorry. I was just going to say, it does relate to the kinesiology as well, that when you make a verbal statement, then you get a muscle response from somebody just from a verbal statement. So that kind of explains that link, similar to the mentioning the remedy and then literally being a physical response to it. Like, anyway, very interesting, or a neurological response.
You know Bruce Lipton, that obviously wrote Biology of Belief 20 years ago.
Yeah,
he actually is a huge fan of homeopathy, and he also talks, about quantum energy and all that sort of stuff, and how we're just starting to realize how homeopathy works. But that's so exciting.
There's a lot we don't understand.
Exactly. How much longer have you got to go with your kinesiology training, Nicole?
I think it's about a year.
Okay.
I think.
Cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. So exciting.
It's down the rabbit warren, so I'm trying not to look how long I've got to go. But I think it's about a year. But really interesting. Neurotraining and kinesiology. So there's lots to learn. And I think we do some work with homeopathy as well coming up. So
yeah, a lot of homeopaths use kinesiology alongside. I don't, but loads of homeopaths do, and they will use kinesiology to just confirm which is the correct remedy for the person. And a lot of my clients do kinesiology, and they will often, I'll give them a remedy, and then they'll muscle test it to see if it works. I love it.
Yeah,
it's fascinating.
Yeah, I find it really it's so super interesting.
Yeah. I was just going to say, those that are really confident often allow their children. I've seen small babies just go to the remedy kit and intuitively pick out a remedy. And then those that can do muscle testing can test. And they're like, that's the remedy that you needed. Or they'll pick up something and sure enough, mum will give them a dose and it will balance out whatever was going on for them that day. That's just...
Yeah. I do that with my kids. I'll just sometimes they're in the bath and there's something they need a remedy for, and I'll just bring in 3 or 4 and I'll just line them up like that, and they'll go, that one. They don't even hesitate. We're like, oh, maybe, and they're just like, that one. And I'm like, yep, no, then go on, keep playing. Yeah. So that's pretty powerful too.
Yeah, that's just
my son, who is 10 now, he reads all the labels. So the other day I told him to take a remedy, and then he went and got the remedy, and he read the labels like, Mum, it doesn't say that on the bottle. I'm like, I studied homeopathy for 4 years. It doesn't have to be on the label. Just use it.
Yeah,
but he questions me. He was like, it's not on the label. I'm like, I can't fit it all on the label.
Mum. Yeah. Hey, that was something that really blew my mind, that there was so many different things for a remedy. It's interesting that he picked up on that, because I'm a real attention to detail person. And at first if I knew a remedy would be good for that thing, I was like, well, I can't use it for that. It's for that. And I was really, overthinking it. And so that took me a while too, to be actually able to realise that the remedy could be used for so many different things. That was interesting for me too.
Well, Emma, while you're on that topic, I always like to ask the mums in our Empowered Mothers section what advice you can give to a mum who's new to homeopathy. So maybe can you tell us a little bit about what sort of things you found helpful? And then, Nicole, can you just carry on with that as well? Just, the mothers listening to this right now who are new to homeopathy, that maybe don't know much about it, maybe have just started on their journey, what sort of advice can you give them to help them become more confident with using this?
Okay. So for me, it was finding a way to administer the pillules that was comfortable for my children. So I forget that now, and sometimes I'll give them to new mums, and they don't know how to get the pillules into their child. So that was the first thing that I had to get really comfortable with, and I'm so grateful that I did that early on, because now the kids are just like, they call it crunchy medicine. So medicine in our house is homeopathy. And so it's finding a way of doing that, I think, is really cool. So we've got some like little plastic things, and I would pour them in it's so they can do it themselves now that they're a bit older. But before that, I'd always tell them what we were going to do, and then, they put the 2 little pillules into their mouth. But I think finding a way to administer it so that you're confident, because sometimes you are shaking, sometimes it's been an accident. You might be trying to get the pillules into the lid and you're kind of shaking and you're not sure which one. And I think sometimes for me, it was remembering that just administering a first dose of something, if you are shaking or something, to have an aconite and to have it yourself too. So a little tip is, if you're giving Caliphos or you're giving aconite, if your child's going through something, oftentimes you should have that as well, because it can help to keep you calm when you're the one that's administering. Excuse me. So definitely finding a way to happily give the dose. And also, when you gave me permission, it's so funny, I needed permission to use more than 2, because for a long while, I made a really big thing about getting just 2 pillules into the lid. And then when you were like, Emma, 4 is the dose, I was like, oh. So once you kind of gave me permission that if 3, 4, 5 even come out into the lid and you need to don't muck around putting it back in for half an hour, that's a dose. And once I had permission to do that, that was game changer for me. So have your little handbook with you if you're not feeling confident. Before I got the handbook, I actually I'd taken one of your courses, Eugenie, and I had a printout. I should find it for you. It's all dog-eared and like stains on it. But that was like my Bible, and I had that with me all the time. So that because I'd be like, I know there's one that's good for like something about fingers, something about nerves, and I'd be like, I know there's one for ears and eyes, and so that would really help me. And I think when you're learning, if you've got some of those key points, like for examples, like slamming a finger in the door, it's good for that, it's good for this, it's good for that. That really helped me too. So confidence, knowing how to administer it. Knowing that 1 dose is 1 dose, so don't get too hung up about the 2 pillules. And the timing, like Nicole said, if it's an urgent thing or you feel like you intuitively need to dose more than waiting that half an hour in between, then just do it. Just do it. You can't get it wrong.
I feel like I should quickly pipe in there, because some mums are wondering, well, why aren't you just throwing the pillules in your hands and just throwing it straight in the child's mouth? So with homeopathic remedies, we try not to touch them with our hands because we don't want to antidote the remedies. So we usually tip them in the lid and then straight in the mouth. Some people tip it onto a spoon and that into the mouth, but you don't want to throw the whole bottle of pillules into your hand and then throw them back. So that's why Emma was saying that. And a dose is usually 2 pillules. It can be 3 or 4. It can be the whole bottle, because homeopathy is energy medicine. So I thought I'll just add that in there in case people are like, well, what are they on about? Nicole, did you want to maybe add what helped you to become more confident?
So I think starting, because it can be overwhelming because there's so many remedies. So starting with, every family tends to use certain remedies more often. So, for example, if your kids are accident prone, starting with the arnica, if you've got a young one, starting with chamomilla, something like if you've got a really persistent problem, starting with a few remedies, just so it's not overwhelming, and just becoming comfortable with that and seeing the results with that. And then, growing as you feel you need to grow your range, or, whatever. But also your course is incredible. That online course that you have is amazing. And I forget because I watched it so long ago, but I had a friend that watched it recently and was like, that was so good. Like that really, really helped. So that, and then also the Owen's book, but also just Googling. I know that people say not to Google, but, if you need to, sometimes you need the answer quick and you can't be going through lots of paper, you can just Google your search term that you need and homeopathy, and it will basically give you pretty good articles with really just, like maybe 5 different remedies, and you read through and you think, okay, that one. The other thing I find that would probably be helpful for beginners are your combo remedies. So just so you don't really have to overthink it or go, what about that one? Or what about that one? You know, the injury mix, or, you know, like the cough combo, or just the combos, I think would be super helpful for beginners, well, everyone. But, you know, you don't have to know too much or to overthink it. You can trust that you guys have already come up with the best combo or you know, mix of remedies. So
you know what you were saying, Nicole, about Googling. Yeah, absolutely. There's actually some really good resources online for homeopathy. I love the Homeopathy Plus website. hpathy.com is a great one. The Jan Owen is a homeopath here in Perth. She's got a website with some brilliant resources. She's always also a lovely lady that I got to meet recently. And it's great information on there. The British Homeopathic Society has some great information on their website. So what you're saying, Nicole, is so great. The information's out there. Go have a read of it for sure. And don't be afraid to try the remedies, and you know, the more you use it, the better you'll get at it. For sure.
It's so true. Don't be afraid. So sometimes give something while you're researching, you know, like give it, if it's an accident, give an arnica and then look at what the specific finger one is, you know, but like give something while you're then having a look at what could help further or could be better.
Man, you ladies are good.
Just go for it. But I think we probably started out with 10. We have the travel kit that we recommend to all of our Living with Organic customers who are just starting out with homeopathy. And I think that they're a really good 10. Like it basically really covers everything. And once you get confident with those, then you are naturally going to want to, you know, like I can't even count how many remedies I have now.
Yeah.
And all the things that I now look to homeopathy for. So, you know, migraine and blood noses and the husky voice and things that I have that happen regularly in my family. Like you said, every family's got probably some remedies that get to the front or never end up back in the case because they're just always out. We both use the, you know, the worming mix. So once a month, our family, full moon.
Yeah.
Moon medicine, the kids call it moon medicine.
And you can give that to your pets as well, right?
Yeah,
so we do that too.
We don't have any pets, so Nicole's the pet household.
Yeah. So having puppy, she's, you know, 5 months. So if her tummy seems to go, look, she just gets a bit off. I can tell she's, you know, or TMI, you know, like her poos just look a little bit, you know, not as perfect, you know. The Nux vomica we use for her, and it's just great.
Amazing.
She's ready to go, you know.
Back to her normal self.
Homeopathy is so great for pets.
And she got infected. Well, it almost did, but her paw, something had happened in the pads of her paw, and we're about to take her down to the farm. We're thinking, great, what are we going to do? And I did Hepa Sulf and Arnica because I didn't know what was wrong, and gone.
Amazing.
I have a picture of what it looked like. I think I put it on the homeopathic group. And then get dosed her with those things, and done. And she loves it. You know, it's so easy to pop it in her mouth. Now she knows what they are. She's like, oh, yum.
Yeah.
So it's great. Yeah, how amazing is that to know that you can treat your children, yourself, and your pets.
And your garden.
Yeah, even your plants, I hear. Plants.
Yeah, I've done that. Silica for the plants.
Yeah.
Did you end up using silica for that beautiful frangipani of yours, Emma?
Oh, yeah, and I'll take
did?
Photos. Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I followed all your instructions. Yeah, and it's been relocated again, and it's amazing. Yeah, and that was using silica,
Homeopathy for your plants is amazing. There's a whole section of homeopathy called agro-homeopathy. It doesn't mean like angry homeopathy, agro as in agricultural. Sorry, that was a lame joke. Yeah, you can. But agro-homeopathy has got its own section of how you can use homeopathy for plants as well. Ladies, are there any other stories that you would like to share with us of how you've used homeopathy, or any words of wisdom that you'd like to share?
Well, we could probably talk forever.
Yeah.
But I mean, those are the ones
talk forever. Yeah. And we do use the online community as well as each other. Because I do find, we talk about this often, as mums, we can sometimes go a bit blank when it's our own children or our own selves. So we sometimes call on each other. So it's almost like having an accountability buddy. I don't know what you call it, but we will call on each other and tell each other the symptoms of what's going on. And then the other person might come up with a remedy and you're like, oh, yes, how could have I forgotten that? Or, you know, nah. So that can be helpful too, having a buddy that you are learning with. Because sometimes an outsider point of view is really good, because you might have missed that one rare symptom that actually helps you work out which remedy is going to nail it. So that's helpful too when you're helping each other to come up with the remedies. I think that's something that we've really relied upon a lot. And I mean, we could talk about we use homeopathy for everything. So we could talk about, I have been getting blood noses recently, and I've been using phosphorus like every single time. And I literally, I'm like, fine, I've got them everywhere because now I'm so used to having phosphorus to be able to like stop it, that without it, I'm like, this is a big drag. I'm sitting here with a tissue going, this could take half an hour, and it's just like, get me the remedy so I don't have to go through that. There's so many things.
Same with Apis. So now, because of Saxon, and his bee stings, I just make sure that he has a Apis everywhere, at my mum's, at my sister's, when he goes to the nanny, like in his bag, like everywhere, even though I think he's fine now.
Absolutely. And you've got a 200C Apis remedy story because Saxon also can sometimes swell up when he gets bitten by, mosquito. Yeah, so you have a story to tell about that too, that sometimes it doesn't have to actually be a bee. It might be a different kind of insect bite reaction. Huge,
elephant-looking legs, like it just
crazy swelling.
So Apis. Yeah, I've gone to 200C because again, that families tend to use certain remedies. Well, that's our family remedy is Apis. Yeah, everywhere. Absolutely. Apis everywhere.
And I'm phosphorus, so I've got phosphorus 200C as well, because you find that you probably need it energetically and stronger if you're a family that uses that remedy a lot. So
actually, I find it really interesting. Sometimes if I find that as a family we're using a certain remedy, I find it really interesting to then go and look into what the picture of that remedy is. So looking, you're probably doing that when we're talking. Yeah. You're probably looking at us and you're straight away knowing more about us than we know about ourselves, because you're looking at the whole picture of the, but that just fascinates me. When you drill down, you actually look into the remedy picture and you start to go, click,
And I also think it's a good thing to remind people that we can do a lot at home by ourselves, but sometimes if there's something chronic or something that's been going on long term, like how important it is to actually have an appointment. So I treated myself to an appointment last year, and Nicole laughed because I reacted like really visibly, didn't I, to the remedy, the constitutional remedy that I was given. And those that know me well would be able to have seen that straight away. But it's interesting, you can bubble around at home doing different things, but if it's something that's long-term, so you then, I think it's really important to treat yourself to an actual consult, because the remedy that can come out of that, or remedies, is really quite incredible. And I certainly can attest to that, having gone along and received a remedy that helped me constitutionally, and it helped me with some things that I was going through with my daughter in particular, and the changes that we experienced was just phenomenal. So that's also something that I like to say. Sometimes people will ask, just even us, we're not homeopaths, but we use it regularly, so people tend to ask us, hey, what would you use for this and what would you use for that? But if it's something that us just playing around at home with remedies isn't helping, it doesn't mean that homeopathy can't help. It just means that you probably need to go deeper or look at the picture a bit bigger. And so I just wanted to remind people that are new to homeopathy that there's another side of it. It's not just treating acute things at home. There's a whole other side.
Deeper layers, right?
Yeah, especially if children are suffering from anxiety, or, if there's anything that's a bit deeper, some emotional things, some trauma, then it's really important to have a consult and actually get the remedy or remedies that are specific, and you can work through the layers of it that way. So I was really grateful for that recently too.
And like you say, Emma, it can sometimes be so hard. Like sometimes it's really good to have a buddy or a homeopath to bounce ideas off and be a sounding board, because we can't really look at ourselves objectively, right? And so in the international homeopathic group that I'm in, the homeopaths there will help each other out as well. And even homeopaths go for consultations with other homeopaths, because, it's really hard to look at yourself objectively and what's going on. So just having that sounding board, and we don't have to do it alone. We can ask for help. It's a beautiful thing, reaching out, creating community, asking for help, getting some remedies along the way, and just having that support. It's so important. I love that you brought that
support
up. Yeah, sure. So ladies, just for a little bit of fun, can you tell me your top 3 remedies that you use for yourself and why? Or just in your house, like just your favorite 3. If you're on a deserted island and you can only have 3 remedies, what would they be?
Oh, don't say that. I'd probably have only my remedies with me. Back when we could travel, I would have to put out a couple of kilos for my homeopathy kit to come to Bali with us because I didn't want to not bring anything. So I'm not the right person to ask only 3. That just makes my head explode. But top three, Arnica, like obviously Arnica. So couldn't live without Arnica. Califos has been a big one. I think that was one of the ones that I started using early on to help with overwhelm and anxiety. And, you know, a lot of the feelings when you're a new mum or, you know, postpartum stuff. So, and for the children too. So I've witnessed some of the mirroring of my anxiety probably in my children too. And Califos has always felt so safe. And so I just felt really confident to give that. So I have to mention Califos, even though if I was on a desert island, you know, that probably wouldn't be the one. It would probably be something to do with bites and stings and something. I don't know. And Sol, I've got to say Sol, because there's so many people that I speak to that have no idea what that even is. And for a family that doesn't, you know, we don't like to put chemicals on our skin. Having Sol as a remedy that we can use in the sun to prevent sun damage is incredible. So we, as a family, that's been absolutely life-changing for us. We are a family who like to be outside a lot. And we do, when we could, we travel to Bali a lot and we have a pool and what have you. So Sol is something that we, like Arnica, we're just using all the time. It's in every bag and in every room in every of the house. So there, I hate to only say 3, like just as I'm saying 3, there's like 3,000 more that are getting missed out of the spotlight. But those 3 are like, amazing, amazing, amazing.
Yeah, I'll go Arnica as well for sure. Arnica and Apis, of course, because we don't go anywhere without that. And I already mentioned Nux vomica. I would say Nux vomica. So any sort of little upsets or overeating or feeling like you've overindulged or something like that. Nux vomica is good because, you know, for the dog as well and the kids and me and so I'd say those 3. But again, there's hundreds.
Yes.
Like we just bought like an orchard down with a group of people. It's, you know, 30 minutes from Manjimup, 30 minutes from Pemberton. But just knowing I've got my kit, I've pretty much set for almost anything that can arise when we're there.
Yeah.
So anyway, if I had to take 3, I'd struggle. But luckily, I'm not on a desert island. Well, actually, that would be fun. But I can take a whole case, which is good.
Or 2 cases sometimes. On the retreats, I've been lucky enough to go to some of the Wild Within retreats recently, and I'm the one with the wild medicine woman with the, you know.
So funny. People are like, have you got one for this? Have you got one for that?
Yeah, like, I'm like, oh yeah, someone's got period pain. Oh, period pain?
Yeah.
I've got something to help with that. Someone got stung. Oh, here.
No, it's so funny.
Can't sleep. Oh, here.
My cheeks are hurting from smiling. You two are so fun to hang out with. This has honestly just been a blast. And before we finish up, how can people get hold of you? Because you are posting your Little Miss Organics goodies Australia-wide, right? Like anyone can go to your website and purchase online. And just chat to us a little bit about Little Miss Enyo as well. That's your other business, Emma, because you're so, you know, I think Enyo is great because it's so sustainable. Same with why I love homeopathy. It's so sustainable. You know, we all need to try to limit our footprint on this planet. So chat to us a little bit about that and how people can get a hold of you guys.
Well, thank you. So for Little Miss Organic, we hang out on Facebook page and on Insta, and our handles are Little Miss Organic. So that's easy to find us. If you're actually wanting to place an order or see what we do online, our website is littlemissorganic.com.au. So that's where you can find us, and we do try to hang out on Insta and Facebook as much as we can, just to inspire others. That's our favourite place to hang out. And Little Miss Enyo is the same. So I have an Enyo business that I feel is very aligned with Little Miss Organic. Nicole and I both use Enyo in our homes. Obsessed. And so just as a little bit of a play on keep that theme going, I called my Enyo business Little Miss Enyo. So you can also find me on Facebook and Instagram as Little Miss Enyo. And it's just something that's like an extension of, so with Little Miss Organic, we're thinking about inspiring others to live their happiest, healthiest lives through what we're putting in and on our bodies, like just being more conscious about it, and in and on the home. But of course, Enyo, that's where Enyo steps in too, because we can just clean with Enyo and water.
Amazing.
So,
And
yeah.
Em's doing really, really well, aren't you? And she's
she was top Australian distributor not so long ago. I don't. She's probably done it a few times
top
since.
10.
Did sneak in there,
Yeah.
sometimes.
But she just is really, really good. Like I've been to quite a few demos, initially just to support, but like it's super interesting and amazing and inspiring. So yeah, obviously reach out to Em if you want to have a demo or want to get her in your house, showing you how to throw out all of that crap that you've probably got under the sink and just replace it with some water and some beautiful fibers. Yeah.
The product tells itself. I can't take any of the credit, but thank you.
We obviously know
each other.
So
fun hanging out with you.
So fun. I just want to say as well, Little Miss Organic has really gone above and beyond for so many families here in Perth. I often see posts in various groups of you guys helping mums out all hours of the day and night. And what you're doing is really amazing. Your passion really shows. I also am probably like a chronic liker on the videos that you guys do on your Facebook group, your Facebook page, sorry, because I've only recently gone onto Insta. Don't judge me. But I always watch your little Facebook videos, and you've probably seen lots of hearts from me there because you guys are so fun to listen to. You're so generous with sharing your knowledge, and there's always amazing recipes on there, all sorts of great ideas, very handy tips that you share on there. So for that, I salute you and thank you very much for hanging out with me today. And it's been super fun. We'll see each other very soon.
Thanks for changing our lives, Eugenie.
Thank you for all that you do. We think you're amazing. Thank
Genuinely.
you.
Yeah, genuinely.
Love you, ladies. Bye-bye.
Thank you.